First up, we're going to start with night ops.
Good morning, Tom Browning. I was the branch director for yesterday and last night. Real good shift yesterday. I flew the fire about 10 o'clock in the morning. There were only 2 smokes showing at that time. Troops got out on all the stuff that was IR'd and checked those lat and long, found some sump holes, and we're working that stuff pretty good. Kind of going around the horn, starting over in Alpha. Alpha was real good, gridded in 500 feet. Looked good. All the hose pulled off of Alpha and either brought back to a drop point or actually brought back into camp. They were working with logistics on getting that done. Over in Hotel, they left that hose lay in there. We're still working along the line. They'd go through, work it. Everything would look good. Come back a couple hours later and their stuff was starting to heat up, and they'd still find a few stump holes and things working in that area. Up into Mike. We got troops in there from the top and got down in and working those ridges where they put the trenches in the day before. Still finding some stuff in there. Nothing close to the line. Most of it was interior, but just it's a hard, slow go getting in there. And those guys did a lot of work in there yesterday, but you still got to get back in on that. Last night, around 1800. They picked up a smoke kind of down in the bottom of that Mike pop-up break. Have a lookout up off this contingency line here off of Fairhaven Drive, and they could see the smoke coming up over Roley Point. And they couldn't quite tell where it was, so we got a ship up, and he got in there, and there was actually some ground litter burning fairly close to the fire, so they're able to mop that up pretty good. We didn't want to send troops down there at night, but it needs to have a good look at that this morning. So, and moving around into Papa, they got the hose lay all the way out of Papa yesterday. Slung load the stuff out of the bottom and then packed the stuff off the top. They got 500 feet of grid in there. Again, that was looking real good. And then they were looking for opportunities that were in further that they could pick up smokes that were visible. Over in Romeo X-ray, all the hose was pulled off of there and brought back in. That line's looking real good. Worked it real hard, gridded all the way down off the top. They worked in around all those structures in there off of Truce Trail, kind of cleaned that stuff up, and it was looking real good. So most of the hoses out. Still one off of Mark Court that they were using to fill some backpack pumps off down in there. Kind of going to have to evaluate whether you still need that today. And most of the backhaul is either an order in place or has already been brought back. So. Have a safe shift. Thank you.
Next up, day ops.
Good morning, Matt Wallen, day ops. Just want to pass on to you that if this fire matters to any of us up here the most, it's probably me. Not just because of my role today, but this is my battalion. I have a lot of community members that I know personally in the area that I have to answer to when they ask how the fire is going. So I have all of your help for one more day, and I'm really asking that you guys get in and dig in. I know it may seem like a broken record day after day, but this is what we do. This is not your first fire for most of you. Honestly, this is just an appetizer for the rest of fire season. And I ask that you take your youngsters that are with you and you show them the ways, the old ways of how we get in there and we do diligence. And even though we may think there's nothing else out there, but by golly, if you get away from your engine, your resource for a 500, 1,000 foot walk, you might find, and you probably will find, some work. So I ask that you get in there and buy in and show like I say, show the young kids that you have with you that this may be their first fire. I recall back when I was a youngster and my captain, he was a tough man, a hard worker. And I reflect a lot as a battalion chief onto the lessons I learned from him. So as fires quiet down, this is the time where you really instill those values into the people that you have looking up to you. So just keep that in mind for the day. Second thing I want you to think about, which should probably be the first, is your own safety. You still have hazards out there. There might be some trees coming down in and around the areas that you're going to be mopping up. So, point those out. Make sure that you guys are all aware. Point them out to the youngsters you may have with you as well. That's just one of the things. We got driving hazards, we got footing hazards, you name it. But so watch yourself to be ready for the next battle, which may be forming up to the north of us. For the mission tasking today, I was kind of disappointed to see still quite a few hot spots on the IR map from yesterday. I need you guys to get in there, work with your respective cooperator divisions, such as if I have Alpha Hotel and we got something in the middle here, work with Romeo X-Ray. You guys can split up that workload and at least get in there and identify what that is. It might be a hot car, a broke down car that was reflecting radiant heat. The IR map was taken at 1400 yesterday. So, but pass that through the chain of command so that it works up to me and I can check it off my box. Okay, so identify those hot spots, find out what they are. And then secondly, is extinguish all smokes that you guys come across that are gonna be within an eye shot of a residence or a road. As you pass this off to the unit, I've gotta babysit this thing for the next, till the end of the week or so. And we are gonna get calls on things that you guys didn't take the time to get out there and make that 1,500-foot hike in with the back pump today. I'm really hoping that you'll afford me the courtesy today of giving me the last of your help, as most of you will be released after this shift. And so that we can we're not gonna get those calls to the ECC. Identify any backhaul needs that you see on the line, run them up through the chain of command. Snap tanks, garbage piles, hose that may or may not have been picked up, or pick it up and drop it off at a central point where we can pick that stuff up as we're winding down. Lastly, is PG&E was working in the area the last 2 shifts. They are out of there, I'm told, totally on the power line area. So you shouldn't have any kind of traffic with them today. So anyway, that's about all I have. Please have a safe shift. And again, thank you for being here and helping us out with this fire. Yes. So with Alpha Hotel, Division Group Soup, Smuds, trainee, Blount, thank you. Thank you. Going into Mike. Moffett? Here. All right, thank you. Papa? Watkins, trainee.
Here.
Thank you. Then for Romeo X-Ray, Kordzakowski. And you have Tucker with you, trainee? Okay, and then suppression repair, Fazio?
Here.
Todd?
Here.
Thank you, and more.
Here.
Okay, that concludes it.
Okay, before we get to safety, the incident objectives are on page 1 of the IAP. Those have not changed over the last 4 days. The management objectives and the control objectives are the same. Again, you can find those on page 1 of the IAP. Weather for today. Temperatures are going to drop. We're looking at a max temp of 81. So it's going to be between 75 to 81, partly cloudy today. It's going to cool off in the evening. So tonight you're looking at 54 to 59. Humidities are going to be between 32 to 37% today. And then tonight they're going to increase to 68 to 73%. It's going to be partly cloudy. All right, next up is safety.
Good morning, Rick Clark, Sacramento Regional IMT Safety. I think Day Ops has pretty much kind of summarized the mission for today, and I'd like to support his statement with engagement of your folks. If you turn to the safety message, there's lots of items in there that are identified as valid hazards for what we're doing. Please engage with your people with those. Be purposeful with your actions today. There's still plenty of work to do. Get your folks out there, get that work done, so we can pass off a good product to the unit for the next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Air Ops.
Good morning, Sean Ryan, Air Operations. First off, for your 220 that's included in your IEP, it was the wrong one was actually put in that packet, so it was for the 3 days starting tomorrow. There's a supplement 220, please grab that. That'll represent what is actually available today, which is 2 Type 1s, 2 Type 2s, and 2 Type 3s. We're going to start down staffing the helibase. It'll be shut down by end of business today. which means those helicopters are going to start getting released starting around noon, and then we're only going to have a Type 2 by the end of the day. If you do have a need for any kind of helicopter support, water dropping, or backhaul, just make that request direct to Helibase via command, and we'll send the appropriate resource. If you end up identifying any kind of sling load backhaul, let's get that identified as early as possible so that we can build that into our plan. It takes a little bit of behind the scenes logistics to make that happen, so we'll just get that going early. Thank you.
Good morning, folks. Brian Mackwood, Unified Incident Commander. I think we've covered just about everything this morning with this briefing. For the folks that are demobbing, please drive home safely. Appreciate the work. For the folks that are going to go out for the last time here, a majority of you, for one last shot of this, we've talked about it already. Please just set us up in the unit level for success. Please get everything backhauled as needed, pull hose as needed, etc., etc. Again, appreciate all the work that you've done up to this point, and we're going to get you home just as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, our agency representative from CAL FIRE.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Jim Hudson, Deputy Chief with the local Nevada Yuba Plaster unit here. Hey, I'm not a big fan of talking after the IC, but being this, obviously our posture has changed on this fire, and there's not as many people standing here as there was a couple days ago. And that's because of the hard work, starting with IA into this shift, the even day shift, that came in and supported us and really helped support the operations and build upon what was started that first day. And this was a complex fire. This, as operations chief for the unit and the duty chief last week, it was locked and loaded to request a CAL FIRE Type 1 incident management team. And we were able to build upon some good successes, and having you folks fully engaged made a giant difference to this community and to the local unit. So just on behalf of Chief Estes and local unit, I wanted to say thank you for that. For our local unit folks here, we are not done. We're going to be on this for a while, and we'll feel good about ourselves. We know that most of the threat out there will be mitigated over the next few days, barring any significant changes. But we're not done with this one until we call it controlled, and it doesn't need to be checked, right? So we need to remain engaged and fully aware of the potential that still exists out there if we get any wins or anything like that. So also want to say thank you to the SAC Regional Incident Management Team. This is the third time in 10 months that they've supported us and come into the unit and stood up an organization for us, and really been a key to some of our successes on the 3 extended attack or potentially darn near major incidents that we've had over the last fire season. So thank you very much and good work.
Thank you, Chief. Okay.